Hello readers! Now we're going to take a closer look at text features. Remember that text features give attention to specific information connected to the topic. There are many types of text features, so let's try to look at some that are in a couple of categories. Our first category of text features are the text features that organize information. For example, we've got a table of contents that tells you where to find the larger sections or chapters, depending on which text you're looking at. We've got an index, which is found towards the end of a text or a book, and it lists topics of importance in alphabetical order, so you can find the page number where you can read about that topic. We've also got at the end of the book or a story a glossary, which gives us some important words with their meanings, kind of like a little dictionary for that specific text. And then within the text itself, we have headings, which are the phrases, and they look like little tiny versions of a title that tell you what you're getting ready to read about in that section between the headings. Our second category of text features are our visual reference text features. Things like charts and graphs that help us explain some of the numbers within a text or the calculations. Timelines that help us understand the sequence of things. Maps that give us locations and different categories around the world or in a specific location dealing with our topic. Illustrations, which are drawn pictures. Photographs, which are pictures taken with a camera that give you a real life example, and then diagrams, which is a picture or drawing with labels that kind of break down the parts and pieces of something that's connected with our topic. And then the last category we're going to look at right now is the details category of text features. For example, within the text itself, there are different types of print that bring your attention to a word. We have bold print, which is the darker word, italics print, which has a little angle or slant to the letters, something being underlined, or something being highlighted. That will let you know it's an important word within that section of the text. We also have captions, which are the explanation of something you see within a photograph or an illustration. It kind of tells you what's going on. It may be extra information along with what's said in the text. And then we have labels, which if you have a diagram or a cycle or something that you're looking at, these little labels will name the specific part of that image within the text. So those are our three categories of text features right now. What we're going to do next is take a look at our Tarantulas, Giants of the Spider-World text and explore those text features to figure out what reading a text feature will do for you as a reader. So here we have our title page, and did you know the title itself is actually a text feature? I mean, we know the title is the name of the text or passage or story or whatever you're reading, but what does the title mean to you? A lot of times the title can actually tell you the topic and maybe the point of what the full text is going to be about. Sometimes it's just a creative name. Let's take a look at this one, Tarantulas, Giants of the Spider-World. Well, that tells me that we're going to read about tarantulas. And if I didn't know what a tarantula was, I could take a look at the rest of the title. It tells me that they're giants, so we know they're big. And then it says of the spider world, so I'm pretty sure tarantulas are a spider. Just in case I wasn't sure, the author included a photograph here of a tarantula. And yep, looks like we're right. It's definitely a really big spider. When I'm reading a new informational text, I like to go through and actually preview the text by reading the text features. It kind of gives me a little outline in my mind about the different things I'm going to be learning as I read the text. So let's take a look at how that can help us with this text. This first text feature that we have that's actually in the passage is a heading. The headings right here, if you can see, actually tell us what the paragraphs between headings are about. So all the paragraphs after what tarantulas eat are going to be about the food or the nourishment that tarantulas get, all the way until you see the next heading, which will start a new section. So the way you really read a heading is you look for the connection to the topic. Okay, so our connection to the topic is obviously tarantulas. That's the topic. And then what is it going to tell us about tarantulas? Well, what they eat. So somewhere in paragraph 3 or paragraph 4, you're going to learn what tarantulas have for food. As we continue, the next text feature we have is another heading. So our previous heading was paragraphs 3 and paragraphs 4, but now when we hit paragraph 5, we've got a different one. How tarantulas protect themselves. So just like we did before, we're going to look for the topic. The topic is tarantulas. And then this section of text is going to teach us how the tarantulas do what? That's right, how they protect themselves, how they keep themselves safe. Ooh, okay, here's something different. Right here, we've got an image. So this is something that's kind of giving us a visual reference of what we're talking about in this section. This particular type of image is a photograph, which means it's a real picture. It's not something someone has drawn or imagined. It's an actual photo. What is this a photo of, do you think? Well, if you're not sure, we can always check this next text feature, which is a caption. A caption is a group of sentences that actually explains what you're seeing in the image or the photograph. So let's see. I'm pretty sure that this is a tarantula, right? Okay, well, let's see what the caption says. A tarantula can make itself look even more frightening by raising its front legs. Okay, so we were right about it being a tarantula. That's good right here. And then what it's doing is raising its front legs. That's right here, the ones that are up. Okay, and then we learn why it's doing that, because it's making itself look even more frightening. Cool. I bet you this is still part of that section of how tarantulas are protecting themselves. Ooh, okay, as we continue, we've got a different type of image. Now, some people might think that this is an illustration because it looks like something that it's been drawn, but actually this is what we call a diagram, okay? A diagram is an image that kind of breaks down the different parts and pieces of something that you need to learn about. Well, first of all, let's take a look. We look and see the picture, but this one actually has a title. The title of this diagram is Tarantula Burrow. I don't really know what that means, but I'm pretty sure that we could figure out some more information from either the text itself or maybe some of these labels that are on the diagram. So let's take a look. We see our topic. Again, the topic that we're working with is tarantulas. And I actually see a tarantula down here on the diagram. Okay. And so let's see what it says. I have an entrance. Well, an entrance to a room is like a door. Then we have a silk mat. Well, I know that I walk on a mat, and I see that it's made of silk. It's not solid. You can kind of see through it a little bit. Then there are these little threads coming down from the silk mat to the tarantula, and it says the tarantula is inside the burrow. So here's what I've learned from this picture. I have learned that a tarantula can go inside the burrow. I have learned that there's an entrance, and it looks like above ground where there's this grass and the rock, and then the burrow looks underground. And then there's this silk mat, which I'm not really sure why that's there. Maybe the text would tell us. But I know that these little threads connect to the spider. So I wonder if it's made out of the same thing as a spider's web. And maybe the spider or the tarantula made that silk mat. Reading more will help me, but I know it's a place that the tarantula can go underground. Interesting. Well, as we keep going, we come to another set of paragraphs, and the heading for this set of paragraphs is Where Tarantulas Live. So once again, as we're reading the heading and actually thinking through these text features, we want to connect them with our topic. So here's tarantulas, and what is it teaching us about tarantulas? Where they live. Okay. So that's what these two paragraphs will be about, where tarantulas live. Okay, this next paragraph has its own heading and it says long live tarantulas. Now I want you to think through what this paragraph might be about for a second. Did you find the topic? Remember, the topic is tarantulas. So what are the other words? Long live tarantulas. Well, if we turn it into a question, which is something I like to do a lot with headings, if I'm not sure what it's going to be about, we could say, why long live tarantulas? When long live tarantulas? Who long live tarantulas? Those don't really make a lot of sense, but how about how long do tarantulas live? Sometimes, if you flip that heading into a question, you'll actually find the answers in the text. And check this out. If my question is, how long do tarantulas live? And we read a little bit, they can live for 30 to 40 years. At least female tarantulas can. Yeah, so if you're ever unsure about a heading, try to turn it into a question. See if you can find the answer in the text. Ooh, this is one of my favorite pages in this text for text features, okay? So check this out. The heading is simply the word molting. It doesn't say anything about our topic. It's just that one word. And I don't even know what that word means, molting. I know that since it has ing on the end of it, it's something that happens or it's something that is being done. And I know that since it's in this text, it has to do with tarantulas. Otherwise, if they were to put something in this text that doesn't have to do with tarantulas, that wouldn't be in the right place. So molting. So what do molting and tarantulas have to do with each other? Well, I would only be able to read and figure that out within this section. But then we have this other text feature, bold print. Okay, so bold print is used in text to draw your attention to those specific words. It means those specific words are really important to the text. Well, let's take a look. I'm actually going to go from the bottom up. We see right here the word molt. Well, hey, guess what? That connects right with the heading, molting. Then it molts or sheds its old exoskeleton. Well, I see it says molts and we've got comma or, so molting is comma or shedding, which I'm still not 100% sure. I know my cat and my dog shed, and that means that their fur comes off and ends up all over the couch. So maybe it's shedding or the exoskeleton, so maybe that means the exoskeleton is coming off. That would make sense. But I don't know what an exoskeleton is. Oh, check it out though, look right up here. Exoskeleton. The outside skeleton is called an exoskeleton. See, to figure out what it is, I see the word is called and, so I just go back to the beginning of the sentence. This outside skeleton is called an exoskeleton. So this is all about shedding the exo or outside skeleton, and that must be what molting is. See how I could take the heading and then those words in bold print, put them together and figure out what this section is about. Text features are really helpful that way. They really guide the reader to better understanding of what they're reading about. Okay, my readers that are becoming experts on tarantulas, let's take a look at a couple more pages and we're all done. Here we have an illustration, and an illustration is a drawing to give us a visual example of what the text is talking about. So we see a spider here. It looks like he's probably legs in the air, so he's laying on his back. Interesting. I bet you there's something in the text about that. And then, luckily, thanks to this author being very thorough, we have a caption that explains something else about what we're seeing. So let's look. It can take 2 to 12 hours for a tarantula to shed its old exoskeleton. Ah, okay. So what this picture is showing us is part of the process where the tarantula is shedding its old exoskeleton. So that's how that caption connects right with that illustration. Okay, and last but not least, we have a diagram on this page. It's at the top of the page. Now our diagram, I wonder what it's about. I see arrows and I see some illustrations within the diagram. But guess what? One of the things I really love about diagrams is they usually give us some sort of title to give us a clue. So what we're actually looking at is the life cycle of the tarantula. And there are 3 different parts because you see those 3 arrows. So there are the eggs in the egg sac. Then there is the spiderling. Interesting. And then we've got the adult tarantula. And there we go. Now, continuing on this page, we've got a heading right here which actually matches the title. So we know that this diagram goes along with the life cycle of the tarantula, which means this next section is going to give us some more detail about that. And along within this detail, we see 2 bold print words or phrases. So that means it's going to tell us something specific about those words or phrases. So we've got the word life cycle in case you hadn't read anything about a life cycle before. And then we also have the word spiderling. And right along with that word spiderling, we've got that comma or happening. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the sentence and read. It grows from an egg into a young spider, comma or spiderling into an adult. So that comma or tells me that a spiderling is a young spider. I look right before that comma or and that tells me exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so there you have the life cycle of a tarantula drawn out for you and the direction that it happens. So text features are pretty helpful when it comes to looking and reading in a text. It gives us specific information. Never just look at a text feature and think, oh, okay, well, there's a heading. I know that's going to tell me there's a section. Really explore it. Figure out what that heading is guiding you to in that section, what the images are showing you specifically with those details. Thanks for watching.